Cold, calculating, I derive pleasure from the pain of others. It's a thrill, a rush, an exhilarating sensation that courses through my veins. I am a sadist. I do not apologize for who I am. In the darkest corners of human behavior, there exist entities that thrive on pain and chaos. Entities like our first guest, a self-proclaimed sadist. This is not a tale of the supernatural or the otherworldly, but an exploration of the human psyche and its capacity for darkness. Our guest, who will remain anonymous, is a self-proclaimed sadist. A characteristic they describe not as a choice, but a part of their identity that they've come to understand and accept. Their world is one of power and control, a world where pleasure is derived from the pain of others. Their senses come alive in the face of another's suffering. They tell us that their satisfaction comes not from the act of causing pain, but from the reaction it elicits. The fear, the desperation, the helplessness. These are the emotions they feed off. These are the emotions that fuel their desire. But what about empathy, you ask? For many of us, the thought of causing pain to another human being is unbearable. But for our guest, empathy is a foreign concept. They tell us that they don't feel empathy in the way most of us do. They understand it, they can mimic it, but they don't feel it. It's as though there's a missing piece, a void where empathy should reside, and then there's the need for power and control. This, they tell us, is the driving force behind their behaviour. The need to control, to dominate, to dictate another's experience. It's a hunger that's always present, always demanding to be fed. Remember, this is not a tale of a monster, but a human being who lives among us, who could be anyone. A neighbour, a friend, a family member. Disturbing, isn't it? But now brace yourselves as we delve deeper into the mind of a sociopath. Just when you thought the depths of human depravity couldn't get any deeper, we introduce you to a sociopath. This is a being whose life is governed by cold calculations, devoid of empathy or remorse. They are the puppet masters of human interaction, preying on the emotional strings of others to bend them to their will. Their world is one of manipulation, a grand chessboard where every move is a calculated step to further their own ends. They lack the capacity to form genuine emotional attachments. Relationships to them are mere transactions, a means to an end. They navigate the world with an uncanny ability to mimic emotions, to blend in, to pass as one of us. But beneath the surface there is an abyss, a void where empathy should reside. Their actions may not always be violent, but the emotional havoc they wreak is just as destructive. Two different entities, both equally terrifying, but how do they compare? While both sadists and sociopaths might seem similar on the surface, there are certain traits that distinguish one from the other. A sadist, you see, takes pleasure in the pain of others. It's an intoxicating thrill, a dark dance of dominance and control. Their empathy is not completely absent, but rather twisted, manipulated into a tool for their own amusement. On the other hand, a sociopath is characterized by a lack of empathy. They don't necessarily derive pleasure from another's pain. It's not about enjoyment, it's about necessity, a means to an end. Control for a sociopath is simply a way to navigate through their world, void of any emotional connections. In relationships, the sadist might form an unhealthy bond, fueled by their need to inflict pain. The sociopath, however, struggles to form any real, genuine bonds. Indeed, the line separating these two is fine, but it's there. Both are haunting, both are chilling, but they are not the same. So, is there a connection between sadism and sociopathy? And what about sexual sadism? This question has intrigued psychologists and laymen alike for decades. Both sadism and sociopathy involve deriving pleasure from others' pain, but they are not identical. Sadists enjoy causing pain, while sociopaths lack empathy for others' suffering. Yet they can coexist. A person can be both a sadist and a sociopath, but not all sadists are sociopaths and vice versa. When it comes to sexual sadism, the waters get murkier. It involves deriving sexual pleasure from inflicting pain, but it doesn't necessarily imply a lack of empathy, a key characteristic of sociopathy. However, when combined with sociopathic tendencies, it can lead to dangerous situations. In the end, perhaps the most haunting thing is not knowing where the line between sadism and sociopathy lies, or if it exists at all. The human mind remains an enigma, a labyrinth of complexities, mysteries, and dark corners yet to be fully explored.